Well, greetings, you wonderful people. Oh, what, 24,000 of you that tuned in for Open Bar on Thursday night. That was another record. I feel like I end up saying this every week now. Like, wow, that was a record-breaking Open Bar. But, man.
Well, I will say now that it was funny, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, the Acolyte." So is it's just hype is going up, but in the opposite direction? I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it should settle down now after 3. Like, it should, right? It should calm down.
I think so. I think that's possibly the high watermark. Nobody seems to know much beyond episode 4, so anything could probably happen at that point. Maybe there's even worse things in store. I would definitely be braced for the season finale. Put it that way.
Oh yeah,
I imagine they're going to go out with a bang on this one.
Excitement ahead.
Yeah, but well, as always happens with these open bars, there's a lot of super chats that come in and we can't get through them all on the night. And as it turns out, well, when you've got 24,000 people watching you live, there is a lot of super chats that come through. And so we're going to do our best to get through all of these tonight. I think, I want to be clear with people when there's this many and such a volume of questions and stuff. We might not necessarily be able to give the kind of full, long-winded answers that we normally get because we really need to try and get through all of them. And we'll do our absolute best to do that. But I just want to make it clear to you guys, we're gonna do our best with this one, but there is a lot in terms of the amount of super chats. So please bear with us on this one as we try to answer them as best we can. I suppose that's what I'm trying to say here in my rambling way.
We'll be fine.
We'll do our best. Yeah, I'll keep going until the whiskey runs out. So, the first one here is from K-Lock, who says, if the Acolyte is a therapy session for Leslie Headland, then Smilo Ren will sexually assault someone and May won't report it for the sake of her career. I don't know what you're talking about.
It'll be great.
Yeah. Well, again, it goes back to that, good writing tells you about the characters and bad writing tells you about the author kind of thing. Jesse George says, I was wondering if there's any way a sequel could be written to Game of Thrones that would solve all the problems of Season 8. I don't trust in Hollywood to do it, but I was hoping you or someone on the panel has some ideas. No, I don't think it can. You can't undo the things that happened in Season 8.
Yeah, we're talking... So many have died. How do you even fix it? Like, so many character stories have been destroyed. Yeah, you got to retcon / redo. You can't just do Season 9 and fix it all. To be fair, you can repair some stuff, but nowhere near everything.
No, exactly. I think the only solution would be time travel or something to just undo all the events of Season 8. And just
it was all a dream. It was a horrible dream Daenerys had, and it's like, wow, I would hate to have done what I did there. Damn.
Yeah. Mr. E says, face it, Old Bob is an inside man in a game of corporate espionage, brought in to acquire classic IPs just to let the clowns run it into the ground and sell off Nada to be rebranded House of Mao. I don't know if that's their intention. I think Bob Iger definitely wants to have a lasting legacy as the man who took Disney to new heights. And with every passing day, that legacy just seems to be crumbling into dust. So, I don't know, man. I feel like probably he would be better off just leaving at this point, just letting someone else sort it out. Godzilla's Greaser says, never thought I'd see the day when Godzilla, both Toho and the Legendary, was more alive than Star Wars. That's true,
yeah.
It was only one movie, but that's a good one. Grant says, can we get a quick ranking of Disney Star Wars content, or at least how that compares with other Disney Star Wars content? So I'd probably put the Acolyte at the very bottom of the list, really. Then it's probably Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, and then Mando. I guess if I had to rank them.
3, 2, 1 probably as well for the seasons. Then, the sequel trilogy would be below Mando, probably below Ahsoka. It gets like Kenobi, Boba Fett.
I might rank Force Awakens slightly above Ahsoka, but then the other two I'd put below it.
Sure, I could see someone doing that. Yeah, and then of course Andor is at the top.
Yeah. I forgot about that. God. Jonathan Schwalter says, they've ruined the Jedi. They wouldn't wear earrings, have stupid haircuts, or be fat as fuck. Minimalist and composed, not flamboyant and gaudy. I don't think they should leave the temple on missions until the age of 14 or 16. What the fuck? Yeah, what you're seeing here are not Jedi. They're Leslie Headland's weird idea of what a Jedi is. So,
Dude, it was
yeah.
so funny. I saw Movie Bob sharing a tweet in defense of it, saying it might be his species that he's fat.
Of course, of course, Movie Bob would defend fat people.
As a species.
There's that eugenics coming into play again, Bob. It's like fat people are a separate species from regular humans.
They're superior, damn it.
Just through sheer mass. Derek says, I hate how the Jedi have gone from being what Obi-Wan called the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy to being an allegory for the patriarchy. Well, again, that's what happens when you have shit writers, I suppose. John Cannon, in a galaxy far, far away, black kids still don't have a father figure. What did the Force do? Just nip out for a pint of milk and never come back?
They never gave us anything for that. Why were there no men in that culture? Why?
Because only women could do important stuff.
They literally didn't even give us a crappy in-universe reason. Like, oh, all the men died from the man disease that spread around.
Yeah. The women overthrew them and killed them all because they were oppressive.
It's unironically, like, absolute horseshit. They're not making enough children for this culture to survive, and they're talking about how they defeated the notion of extinction. They haven't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then they all died of shame or something. TC says, I love the way they bring in Kung Fu to Star Wars, then in a desperate attempt to get Chinese representation, they get a Korean. Close enough. Nice casual racism there. I think it was really just chosen because he was popular from Squid Game, and it was like this idea that Western audiences would kind of warm to him.
Well, I'll be honest with you, those decisions are never actually that bad. It's just they need to actually give him something to do.
Yeah.
They didn't.
They certainly didn't, no. Mega Spidey Man. Have you guys ever noticed the sudden drastic change in Dalton's accent in License to Kill when he says things were about to get a bit nasty?
I'd have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I mean, fucking hell, it's been a while since I've watched that one. Yeah, he's a Welshman, isn't he? So you must approve of him as Bond, I suppose.
I always forget if he's a Welshman, is he? He's very good at, I guess, hiding the accent, at least.
That's why they call it acting, dear boy. Yeah, so... Yeah, he was born in North Wales.
Neat. Well, that's another one we can add to the very tiny list.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be expected there would be many famous Welsh actors because we're fucking tiny of a we're a tiny place of a tiny place. But still,
hey, you've got Ewan Grufford. I don't know how you say his name.
Yeah, I feel like he's itching for a comeback.
He is, yeah. I mean, he's in Bad Boys 4. Plays a sort of slimy bad guy in that. It's just weird because I feel like I saw him in the Fantastic Four movies, and that was like 20 years ago. So he was still very much a young man back then. Yeah. Now he's 50, and it's like, oh, right, yeah, you got older.
I hate when they do that, when they get older.
I know.
It's so rude.
Well, normally it's a gradual process. When it's an actor that you see them in a new movie every couple of years, it's like, well, you know, you kind of get used to them being like gradually aging. Yeah. Whereas if you don't see them for a long time and it's just suddenly this like time warp that they've gone through, it's like, oh no, looks like your face is melting all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Zeddy Boy says, even in Glass Onion, the twins had different hair. Fucking hell, I can't believe we're holding up Glass Onion as a paragon of good writing. Crazy Goat says, Drinker, on a different note, have you seen Arcane Season 2 trailer? It looks wild. It does. I'm excited. Hopefully it's going to be good.
Think they are probably only showing us clips from like the first 3 episodes or so. I haven't met the fact that they're ending with this season is probably going to be a hell of a lot more in it than we're being led to believe.
Oh yeah, it doesn't give too much away. So, man, I just can't wait to get back to good writing like that. Like, it's like a little comfort blanket, you know?
Well,
good characters, good writing.
Not to necessarily reassure, I don't know how you were feeling about it, but first episode of House of Dragons out, and most, if not everybody, including myself, are happy with it.
Yeah, well, hopefully I'm going to see it tomorrow, I think. I just don't have time tonight.
There's a couple of book fans are not happy with certain decisions, but I think that is an interesting discussion to have.
Okay. Memorable Virus says 2012 was the cancer diagnosis, 2024 is the pulling of the plug. Yeah. Kill it! Adam Zillan.
We have to keep changing that metaphor because of every new bad thing that comes out.
I know, it's like, how many times can we kill this franchise? Adam Zillan says, communist lesbian space witches literally made me lose my beer through my nostrils. Good.
We'll do that.
Angry Batman. Hey, Law, Drinker, could you please wish my son Parker a happy 3rd birthday? He loves listening along with me and telling people to go away. Jesus Christ, he's 3 years old and he's listening to us. What are you doing to this poor kid? Anyway, Parker, I hope you have, or I hope you had, a lovely 3rd birthday. Greetings from the Drinker, and go away now. Akimbo Toast says, off topic, but what's your favorite Michael Mann movie? Probably going to be Heat, I think.
That would be the default. I'm just trying to remember which ones I've actually seen because I'm. Let's see here. Oh, see, I need to see Collateral. I didn't see Ferrari.
Oh yeah,
I didn't see
Ferrari's
Miami
good
Vice.
actually. Yeah.
I saw Public Enemies. That was fine.
So yeah, I keep forgetting he did The Keep as well. Did you ever watch that? Like this, like really
No,
low,
I don't think so.
Like quirky, weird horror movie from the 80s. Ian McKellen's in it. He did Blast of the Mohicans. This is a pretty solid bet. This is a fucking amazing movie.
Wait, he did Ford v Ferrari?
No, he did Ferrari, just the Adam Driver one.
Well, why is that listed in Michael Mann movies? That's weird. Because I thought it was James Mangold that did that. Did he produce it? Maybe.
He was executive producer.
Oh, okay, there you
go. But yeah, he did also Miami Vice. Collateral's really good. Ali,
I need to see that.
Is it's not bad. But yeah, I think probably Last of the Mohicans or Heat, I think would be my choice. What's the next one? Michael says, it's too bad about Corel being a space lesbian because she's the submissive one, and you could really get both hands on those horns, if you know what I mean. Wow. The mind boggles at what goes on in that commune. The Burke says, that chant sounded like your average corporate motivational session that only the laziest of employees enjoy. Yeah, it was pure unadulterated cringe. Jander75 says, finally finished all the novels, Drinker, ready for the movie. Also, your modern audience's shirt is a big hit with the liberal parents of my son's travel soccer team. Brilliant. Yeah, the merch guys did a really good job with that. It's good fun. And yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the books, man. Johnny Nismo says, Andor had a LGBT couple, people of color, strong female main characters on every side, and political ideology with no prejudice or misandry. I know, it's crazy, right? It's almost like if you've got good writers, you can work all this stuff in, and it doesn't impede the story.
How about it?
Yeah. Piston says, Acolyte exists. The holiday special. Finally, a worthy opponent. Our battle will be legendary. Which do you think is the biggest disaster put to screen? Probably the Acolyte, because it cost like 500 times more than the holiday special.
And what we have to say about the Acolyte, unlike almost anything else, it's had the highest profile like failure outside of the films, I think. And when I say the films, even those seem to have, like TLJ had loads of people defending it. Rise of Skywalker and Acolyte, I think those are competing to have the highest profile fuck ups.
Yeah. Jeremy Holthouse. When producers discussed the idea of movie adaptations, Tolkien was once again adamant that Disney should not be involved as long as it was possible to veto anything from or influenced by Disney. I hope that's true, actually. That'd be amazing. He knew way back when. Desert Viper. Help us, Elon. You're our only hope. Elon Musk buy Star Wars. He'd make his money back tenfold and be held as the savior of Star Wars. Also, he named his rockets and spaceships after Star Wars names. I mean, that's pretty cool. But
I don't know about the viability of it all, right? And I don't know if he has any interest. And then it's a lot more complicated than simply buying it. There's a lot of work that would have to be done.
I feel like he would. He's that much of a mad lad. He'd do it just to be like a shit poster and like decanonize the sequels and stuff. He would do like insane things that no legit studio would ever do, just because he could.
For the record, it would be infinitely hilarious if he just announced he's buying it, and the day the deal is complete, he just puts on fucking Twitter, just says everything post 2012 whatever is decanonized.
Yeah, the meltdowns would be beautiful.
Yes.
Peter Garombe, the power of many verbal vomits sounds like something Amazon workers are forced to say at the end of meetings in order to keep their jobs. Yep. none of the extras even seemed like they were into it. It's so
Yeah, I'm actually inclined to agree. That does feel like a retail worker's like a manager who doesn't know what they're doing is like, now everyone together, power of one, power of two, power of many. Nobody's saying it with them.
Well, you just know, like, there's a few people in the crowd as well who went like the power of three. Oh no, we're not supposed to say
yeah, we're
that.
not doing that.
Power of
Okay.
many. It's just like, what does it even
And
mean?
she's like, come on, Alan, get into it. He's like, shut the fuck up.
I've been working for 16 hours straight. Albert says you should have a representative from Disney on this podcast. I think that would go swimmingly. Could you imagine what would happen to that poor person? I think they would never go on the internet again for the rest of their lives.
No.
It'd be funny, though.
It would.
Drake Timbershaft says, yes, the sound that Sith lesbians make when they give birth to twin Satan babies. Yeah.
Why not?
That Jodie Turner-Smith quote, man, it's just... Ugh. It's so smug. It's so like, praise me. I can see it getting used a lot. What's the next one? Alex Belfour says, hi, Drinker. I super chatted you about sending you copies of my graphic novel, The Final Hunt, illustrated by Kenneth Lowe. Where would I mail the copies? So, yeah, if you look at the About page on my... oh, actually, no. Yeah, the best way to do it then, sorry, I'm rambling here, email me at thecriticaldrinker@hotmail.com. You can find it on my About section on my channel. Just email me and I can send you my P.O. Box address. That's probably the easiest way. Bird Up says, the movie RoboCop predicted DVDs. Check out the scene where Boddicker goes to the OCP guy's house. I thought it was like Laserdisc or something, but yeah, I get what you mean. Game Explorer says, I'm hereby adding to Harvey Weinstein's list of crimes the fact that he gave Leslie Headland a career. I don't know if he did. It's more like Kathleen Kennedy, really. But T-Dog says, hail to the Drinker and Mauler. 94 was the best year for films, in my opinion. The very first DVD my parents bought me was Pirates of the Caribbean 1. That was a bit of a switch. But
I was about to say, that did not come out in 94. But
yeah, like, what was in 94 that was so amazing for you? I'm not disputing it. I'm just curious.
We did... we would have done a summer in 94, right?
With Pulp Fiction in 94. Jurassic Park would have been the year before. Yeah, I need to look back, I suppose. But yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean, good choice for your first ever DVD. Master of Puppets, Drinker, were you not moved by the witch's chant and jazz hands? So stunning and brave. I know, I think it was too stunning and brave for me. Corey Wilson says, the Sega Dreamcast came out on the 9th of September, 1999. That was pretty good, yeah. Good choice there. D says, Hollywood hires people out of Sundance. It used to be that you only had to be talented to and know someone. Now it's only who you know. Dig into corrupted festivals. Everything sucks because the corrupt film festivals, Sundance and Tribe. Yeah, I don't doubt that, actually. It's who you know, not what you know. Ministry of Wrong Things says, Chris, what the fuck is this I'm hearing about the Hack Woke Shite episode 4 talking about menstrual cycles? Is that true? God save us. Well, we'll find out in a couple of days, I should imagine. Roland New says, Theory and Chris on Open Bar has been something I've wanted for quite a while. So glad to see it. Cheers. Well, I'm glad we can make all your YouTuber fantasies come true. So it's good to have them both on. John Papasergio, in Star Wars, spice is a mind-altering drug. I found it hilarious the kids were running around cheering for a spice cream. I couldn't believe that. Fucking spice cream. Oh, God.
It's so unimaginative, and then it's also just like, you guys do know about your own universe, right? And then obviously the answer is no.
Yeah. God. Hikira, I'm surprised Theory and Chris Gore got to be on today. I'm sure you had 50 people wanting to be on for this one. This is great. Yeah, like I say, it was great to have them both on. Chris demanded to be on. Basically, he wanted to rant about episode 3. So I said, yes, you may rant away, sir.
There is that, because some people don't realize, like, there are some people we have out there who are like not watching this shit, and then we're like, want to come on for an episode 4? And they're like, you mean I've got it? And you're like, yeah.
You know what I'm asking from you. Jordan Pendragon. The visual aspects stood out to me. The color saturation, contrast, tinting hues, etc. felt so muted and colorless. Yeah, during that witch scene for sure. It felt so depressingly beige and lifelessly grey. Maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know what they were going for, really.
People have been comparing with the House of the Dragon single episode of like watching 3 acolytes and then that. It's like, what the fuck? And it's like, yeah, you're watching a TV show again with, you know, depth of lighting, amazing sets, lots of deliberate choices in cinematography versus the acolyte that's just a flat piece of shit where you're just walking around in assorted, boring places. Rags pointed it out, but you know, like the world they live in, that the lesbians,
Yeah,
it looks very similar to that little town they were in episode 2.
it
Like
does
when they walk
actually.
around,
Yeah.
it's just like, do they not know how to do anything else? I don't know.
Well, this is, you reuse sets all the time in film production and TV,
Nearly
that sort of
200
thing.
million budget though.
I know. Well, that's it. I think it's a fucking scam. I honestly think it's a money laundering scheme.
Pocket the money.
Oh yeah. Slick Gossip says, I hate to break it to you, to Theory, but Dave Filoni is the chief creative officer for Star Wars. He actually approved this and greenlit it. He's just as bad.
So I watched the newest video from Theory where he says Kathleen Kennedy's to blame, Leslie Headland's to blame, and then he has a pause and he says, "Where are you, Dave?"
Yeah, what's going on? It's like, do you
Where
not get
are
it?
you?
Like Dave's behind this too, man.
Oh no! I'm saying he said, "Where are you, Dave?" He said either Dave is there and approving it, and that's awful, or he's just unable to do it. I think he's getting there, guys. He's getting there.
Yeah. I mean, I
'Cause,
don't know
I
how
don't know
you
if you
can
saw
watch
it, but
Ahsoka and then be like, oh yeah, Dave's gonna save
the thing
Star
is,
Wars.
it's the same process as like losing faith in a lot of your favorite artists. He has a lot of faith in Dave Filoni, and it's getting eroded already. You can tell.
Yeah.
We're already there. I saw Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers said that he's actually picking Dave Filoni as the primary person that's responsible for all of this. That needs to be like removed.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. From a creative standpoint, he's going to be much more involved than someone like Kathleen
Well,
Kennedy. So
he is the creative officer, or whatever, right? That's got to be a huge amount of power in relation to the way the story works. And you know for a fucking fact that Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Howland, if he said, "Oh, you better not do that because Star Wars," they'd be like, "Oh, sure, whatever," because you know you're the Star Wars guy, Filoni. We're just the people who want to benefit from the Star Wars.
yeah. Robert Montelongo says another testament to Andor's quality is the fact that it presents itself as hard canon. Other Star Wars projects reek of fan service and sensitivity to the meta.
Well, you know
Uh,
what? The creators will often tell you, it's really about interpretation. It's a different point of view. It doesn't necessarily have to fit into the canon. Meanwhile, Tony Gilroy was Googling Wikipedia while working on it to make sure everything fit.
Isn't that interesting? When people just put a bit of effort in, they really take it seriously. That's
Oh,
what
I
you
love
end up
hearing
with.
that. The idea that he cared enough to get the names of like particular guns or places right. I was just like, oh my God. It's
Yeah.
so indicative. It's the opposite of when they get something really small wrong that was easy to not get wrong. You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
What does that mean going forward?
Hurricane Laura says, who would win in a fight, the lesbian thread coven or Nancy in the craft? I'd say the lesbians because they've got the power of many.
And they can reproduce indefinitely.
Yeah. Lazy Fox says, is episode 3 a gotcha with the witches versus Jedi, an allegory for trans rights positioning the Jedi as supporters of kids' rights to choose, or is that a stretch? I don't even know what they're trying to go for with this one.
There's
I think the writers
more
probably
than
don't even know.
likely allegory present. I've seen people say that it's about sort of LGBT persecution. I've seen people say it's about black persecution, and I was just like, this is clearly a mess, this episode, because nobody has any idea what the fuck's going on.
I think you can assume that they were going for some kind of persecution because, of course, they were. When it's allegories from
Well,
modern
you know the
society.
line where she says the galaxy doesn't like women like us.
Oh yeah.
You don't know if she's talking about lesbian, witches, black. It's unclear. Like, so it could be everything.
Every oppressed group. Yeah, Desert Viper says, the only thing I want to see is Starkiller show up at the end of Acolyte and slaughter everyone. Just walk off, background explosion, roll credits. Sign me up for that.
It's another example of never understanding what they're doing. They had Sam Witwer this whole time, and they never used him for that. A live-action Starkiller that would have made money.
Yeah. Alex J. Greetings, gents. This show is such a treat to someone kind of embarrassed by Hollywood these past 10 to 15 years. Well, I think it's, for me, it's that breaking point, and it seems to have been for a lot of people with Star Wars. Like, now, there's just no hiding it. I think much like the Marvels was the breaking point for people who were still trying to defend the MCU and say, oh yeah, it's still viable, it's still successful. Then you have a gigantic flop like that. This is the same deal. It's not a flop in a financial sense because it's not a theatrical release, but the way the entire fan base is turned on it, it's like now you can't even pretend that your franchise is creatively successful anymore. And I think it was long overdue. So it'll be interesting to see what happens from here. Chris Liptalk says, Acolyte has gotten so absurd that it's reached drinking game levels. Does the panel have any suggestions on rules, such as chug a beer when canon is broken, take a shot if a slurpo is on screen, etc.? Yeah, what can you say? I tell you what, if you want to walk away sober, just take a drink every time you see a white guy on screen. You'll be like stone cold by the end of it. Exotic Player says, Hail Drinker and Panel. I can't get that dreaded chant out of my head now. You know, like when you can't unsee or unhear something? Even Angry Joe gave this episode 1 out of 10, and he's normally quite generous. Yeah, if Angry Joe hated it, my God, it must be bad.
I think Theory gave it a 0. It was just like, you failed. You don't count.
Yeah. General Order. Greetings, Drinker, Mauler. Mauler. On the Real BBC, you said that you had seen the Star Trek episode A Taste of Armageddon. Can I ask for your thoughts on it?
So that's the one where they're told to stay away from a planet that I think they were previously happy to deliver things to, and it's because they're in a war with another planet, but the war has developed such that both planets have agreed that they will only simulate the destruction of buildings via, missile fires and stuff, but they must both agree on good conscience and to be checked that whenever a bomb hits, even if it's simulated through their computer system, they have to have people die, as in they have to walk into disintegrators. As
so the people die, but the actual property and the
infrastructure
doesn't get destroyed.
And they don't want the Enterprise to beam down because they know that it'll fuck everything up. And they arrive, and according to their computers, the Enterprise gets destroyed. It's fine, but according to the warfare that it's at hand, and so they say all of your crew needs to enter the the disintegrator, and of course Kirk is like, no. And what's cool about that episode, it's the first one that I thought Scotty really got to sort of shine. He's put in charge of the Enterprise because Kirk's gone down and he chooses him, and there's a guy who gets beamed up, I think, or there's a guy on board who's trying to push for a particular decision. He's like an ambassador, and he's like, we should all beam down. And there's a part where Kirk's voice is simulated by the people on the planet to tempt everyone to come down so they can kill them all. And Scotty recognizes things aren't quite right. And so the guy is like, we're going down. I outrank you, and I will literally put you in prison if you don't listen to me. And Scotty does a sort of stands up to him and just says, no, I will not allow this to happen to the crew. And I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah. Scotty being a bit of a badass.
And if I was to tier the episodes of ones I don't really care for, ones that are okay to pretty good, and then ones I really like, this one's probably tier 2, but I still appreciated the idea of simulated warfare with executions to avoid additional damage. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah, no, that's fair play. Coyote 1, my guess, the witches thought that the Jedi caused the fire and the Republic would conquer them. To avoid being colonized, they did a mass exit, probably drinking the poison from episode 2 because Leslie thinks that's good writing. I don't think... I feel like it was probably a massacre by the Jedi.
If they fucking if they drink the Kool-Aid, they all drink the shit that kills them all, I'm just like, what kind of message are we what is this? I'm with Drinker. I think the Jedi are gonna fuck up.
Fearless Wolf. Carrie Beck is the head of Lucasfilm Story Group, which deals with all things lore. She's produced Rebels and The Bad Batch. I cannot find her involvement in The Acolyte. That's interesting. No one was interested in listening to her.
You have to imagine that's absolutely true. There's some people that are just like, just leave me alone. I'm doing my own thing. It's like, yeah, but it could remain in continuity. It's like, no.
Continuity is not a word we like to use here. It's very
No.
triggering. That one guy says, do you think Yoda will make an appearance in the finale? I've got a horrible feeling he will, yeah.
I can't remember. Someone mentioned somewhere that there's like confirmation there's definitely no Yoda, but I wouldn't. I don't know. They could.
I mean, he's definitely active at that time because he was
Yeah.
like 900 years old, so he's definitely around.
Well,
You just have to assume he's a Jedi Master at that point. So
the cynical part of me says they know that'll be a way to get people to like the show if they just go, this is the episode with Yoda's in it. They do that all the time, so it's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Space Ice. Hey, Space Ice. I know his channel. He does awesome reviews of old movies. He says, nobody cares about Star Wars. What matters is who's better, Jack Burton or Cameron Poe? It takes place in the Chinese Hall of Convict Planes. The people deserve an answer. Or the Chinese Hell of Convict Planes. Jack Burton's going to win every fight ever because it's all in the reflexes you see. Yeah, Cameron Poe's... he's definitely he's good in a fight, but yeah, my money's on Jack Burton. Kevin S says, old promo, I commented the pic of Star Wars Theory, Shmi, and Post. What the fuck? It showed Kelnaka fighting Torben. He probably tried to stop the Jedi from fighting the witches, and it gave Torben his scar, then went into exile as he wasn't on the ship. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know what to make of that. I get the feeling it was more just a fight broke out. He probably got injured in the process while the rest of the witches got cut down by the Jedi.
That's going to be weird to watch, dude.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait for them to fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Virtue says, y'all asked the other week why people weren't going to movies. For me, Napoleon broke me. If you can't trust Ridley Scott anymore, who can you trust? I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think anyone trusted him after Prometheus.
I was going to say, how is this what broke your trust in Ridley Scott?
Or movies in general.
Yeah.
It's like, up until 2023, movies were fucking golden. Dr. J, 50 million pre-production plus 180 million budget, and they couldn't afford a choreographer for their witches chant scene. Yeah, that honestly felt like they had about 2 minutes to come up with a chant and just some choreography for it and just rolled with it. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Slack Attack says, just because you can creatively explain the faults in a show doesn't excuse the paid creatives whose job it is to fill the gaps. Bad writing isn't forgiven by someone's desire to cope. Well, yeah, I mean, I think headcanon sometimes gets relied on a bit too much to fill in all the gaps in bad writing. So, yeah, you're supposed to anticipate that and try and preemptively fix the problems.
It's like it goes in stages. What's the line between inference and headcanon? What's the line between headcanon and just you written your own story?
Yeah.
And I think they get blurred sometimes.
Rupture Knight says, the power of one bad review, the power of two bad reviews, the power of many. Yeah, there has been a lot. It's what, 15% now it's sitting at? I think last time I checked.
Pretty bad, yeah.
That's, it's bad numbers. Frozen in the 80s. I'm just watching, just waiting on May and Osha to yell out, I'm Rick James, bitch. Yeah, we've all seen the Rick James jokes. That hair, man. Pat Minturn says, the whole purpose of this is destroying Star Wars and the things it stood for in order to create the world fits to their ideology. Star Wars is just a piece of their agenda. I just think it's creative bankruptcy, really. And writers just going into business for themselves. Kevin says, Leslie Headland will never admit failure. She feels she's on the right side of history and we're all racists. She feels it's worth it because her show was necessary to pave the way for future generations. Well, it'll be interesting to see how future generations look back on the Acolyte, I suppose.
Very positive, I'm sure.
Yeah. This next one. Your name is an adverb says, in 1999, Steve Orderkirk released Thumb Wars, which is a strange but funny parody. The big reveal was that Black Helmet Man yells, I am your mother. It'll be sad if they rip off a 90s parody. Well, they will. You can guarantee that.
Yeah.
Koenig says, anyone considered that the thread could be connected to the great tampon of the universe? I think about that often, actually. One day we'll get the answer. The Uber Geek says, the Acolyte showcasing a Zumba class for middle-aged women is now considered peak Star Wars. Fuck this timeline. Northern English Bastard says, dear drinker, mauler, and guests, recently caught the new Bad Boys movie. God bless Reggie. Yeah, he's fucking brilliant. He's like my favorite
he's
character.
it, is he?
Yeah, but he's now an absolute badass. Like, he has to do like a bit of home defense, and he kills like fucking 12 armed soldiers single-handed.
Is he same actor?
Yeah, same actor.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty amazing as well. Like, I don't know, 20 years older, and he looks pretty much the same. Like, everyone's aged super well for this. Also, check out Leroy, Texas. It's the film of the year, in my opinion. All right, cool. Obsidian Mug. I wish we had ways to make Star Wars valuable again as a hobby, whether it's online book club, tabletop, or expands on existing EU with fan fiction. I've looked online, but I haven't found anything significant to fill the need. I think that's the problem now. There's not real incentive for people. The passion's gone. Skeptical Panda. Disney's The Force has become like the new Doctor Who sonic screwdriver, a crutch for whatever the writer needs for the moment. Very true. It's amazing what the Force can do now.
Yeah.
Hellrats. Why doesn't anyone talk about Force teleporting? That was a thing in Rise of Skywalker. It really was. It shouldn't have been. Blade says, I thought listening to my retarded uncle trying to sing was bad, but then I saw the Acolyte episode 3. My uncle may be retarded, but at least he wasn't intentionally trying to harm me. Fair enough. Slack Attack. As Gary said, anyone can be a fan as long as you want to be a fan. But when you need to fundamentally change something in order to like it, you're not a fan. Enjoy it for what it is, not what it could be. Yeah, absolutely. Cole McCoy. Episode 3 seems to mirror Frozen 2, a magical tribe oppressed and killed by a king who hated magic. The mother's deaths seem unclear. The dam in Frozen looks similar to the Coven Mountain. Still trash TV. Yes, it is. Maximilian. Mauler, now that Drinkers reviewed Attack on Titan, when can we expect your unbridled thoughts?
I've not seen it. I'm sorry. I said to the Drinker that once he finishes it up, depending on what he says, I would put it at a higher thing of going to see. I need to see Mob Psycho 100. That's the new cool kids anime I've got to see.
Is that the word on the street, is it?
Well, it's not new, but yes.
Sam Wallace. Crying is for women, babies, and men who've just had their ears torn off. Thumb Wars is my safe space. Okay. Dangerous Spaces. Let's make the black kids have no father. Way to play into stereotypes there, Star Wars. By the way, how's your health going, Chris? Really great to see you. Yeah, it's great to see Chris back, and as far as I know, he's doing well.
Yeah, hope so.
Tom. What gets me with Lucasfilm now is they either can't or won't distinguish between the actual toxic minority and the rest of the fan base. I think this is more telling than anything else. Cheers, boys. I think it's more a case of won't distinguish rather than can't. They know that there's legit criticisms of their shows, but it's easier to just paint everyone with that same brush. Then you don't have to acknowledge any of it. Charge 41. Tazi Loa, Zygerian Jedi on the transport might make a good story or side plot. Zygerians historically hate the Jedi. Young Force sensitive, stigmatized at home, modern influence on relations, and tension with the Jedi. I mean, I just wouldn't put much faith in anything or anyone in this show to germinate a good story. Lyman de Coconut says, I saw episode 1 in theaters recently. Before it started, there was a promo asking us to stick around after the movie for an Acolyte trailer. Nobody stuck around for it. That's funny. Grizzly Burn. I hate to say it, but it wasn't Disney that started the hate Jedi shtick. Author Karen Travis from the old EU did. I think she even has a quote on it, and it was just as cringe there. What do you make of that?
Oh, I mean, I don't know anything about it. That'll be maybe a question for Ryan.
Yeah.
Sounds like some deep lore.
Well, we can only go so deep here. Adonijah says, panel, to cleanse ourselves a bit from the Acolyte and talk about something good, what is something you look forward to in Arcane Season 2, if anything? Well,
so, I mean, this can be my answer, and then you can potentially give you something that you may not have known. But at the end of Season 1, you can clearly see the scientist that worked with Silco, who in the game is called Singed. I forget what he's called in the show, if he has like a definitive name even. But he's working with a creature that looks like a big werewolf.
right.
In the game, that's Warwick, and he's going to be, the theory goes from a couple of clues in Season 1 that he is what remains of Vanda having been experimented on.
Oh, interesting.
So that's going to be pretty huge if they take advantage of that properly, bringing back an enraged monster Vanda experiment. There's just a couple. There's a really great subtle graphic in the middle of Jinx losing her mind in the final episode that gives a big hint that that's who that is. I would go as far as saying it may all but be confirmed by fan sleuths. I just know the basics, and the trailer has a pretty interesting shot of that creature, and yeah, I'm going to be very interested to see what that's going to mean going forward. So you can say I'm hyped for that. I'm also very hyped for Victor. Considering this is going to be the last season for this area of the world, I'm assuming they're going to crank Victor up to his video game equivalent, which is, let's just say, he keeps upgrading.
Yeah, because Victor's the one who's like kind of crippled, isn't he? But he's relying on various like medicines to like boost him.
He's been playing with the hex tech, and he's sort of augmenting his body, and he's already, by Season 1, he'd like fully morphed, I think, half of his body into like mechanical sort of elements. And I think that when we see him again, he's going to have been blown up in that accident, probably survives it, but horrifically injured, and may very well delve further into the the upgrades.
Cool. No, I think I'm quite excited to see more interaction between Jinx and Vi as well. It's going to be
looks like
the narrative
Vi's
core
gonna
of
have
it,
to start considering that she's lost her sister. The fact that she calls her Jinx instead of Powder as well.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hayden says D-Day Cobra just got his Twitter account locked for being mean to Disney. Time to signal boost and get him unlocked. Yeah, I think by this point he's back to normal again, and I think he was just posting that scissoring clip constantly at them. God bless him. Chris Meets West says, so did all the witches just lay down in the fire and die because none of them wanted to do the smelly firefighting thing? Shocker. Yeah, I think we've talked about it. Like they probably got murdered by the Jedi, and that's what we're going to discover.
Whatever it
ultimately.
turns out to be, we'll be there to laugh at it. I'm almost certain it's going to be retarded.
Yeah, it'll be cringe. What's the next? Wolfman says, honestly, I'd just rather stop and consider the Star Wars comics to be canon. Not just that, I'm also planning on making my own Star Wars stories with real characters to show them that we don't need them. Well, good luck to you, man. Warland says, my favorite part was when Darth Finrod asked, do you know why a thread floats and a force cannot?
Ooh.
Kevin O'Neill, Disney went full Witcher Blood Origins. You never go full Blood Origins. No, you really don't. You don't want to do that. Lord J says, damage control in my own mind. Theory, you have Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah, you just got to let it go, man. Marked Ashamed says, the Star Wars Holiday Special is no longer the worst Star Wars television show. Very true. Cyclonus says, Lucifer met with the corporations. Bob Iger speaks. Dark Lord, we are moving away from DEI so we can make money again. Lucifer replies, no, there was plenty of time to make money. We're moving on to stage 2 now. Ooh. Stay tuned for more.
Yeah.
Tomahawk says, theory sounds just like how I did after watching TLJ. Just sadness, watching something I love being killed by people who don't care. It's
a journey many have been on. We've been on it several times.
It is a journey, yeah, but once you get to the end of it, you're so much happier. Like, once you just make that emotional disconnect and say, I don't give a fuck anymore. It's like, I'm free. I'm free to hate. It's great. Chris Nicholson, I'm baffled at how Disney allowed Star Wars to get to this point. It's been almost a decade of downward spiral. Surely someone in power must notice. Why is antagonizing fans their only solution? Well, when you're an idiot and you've tried everything else to make something halfway decent and failed, I suppose that's all you got left, really.
A little bit.
But it's a played out strategy now. It's just, I think everyone knows it's not working anymore. Albo Cinema says, spreading my meager Kenyan shekels to my kindred spirits in the West. How can I watch your movie, Drinker? Big fan from Kenya. Thank you, man. And you can watch it just on my YouTube channel. That's where I'm going to release it, so everyone will get to see it. Like the Kickstarter backers will get to watch it first, obviously, because they helped to fund it and make it happen. But then I'll just release it publicly. Revco says, the Immaculate Conception refers to Mary being conceived without original sin, but she still had parents. Joachim and Anne. What happened to Anakin and these twins is akin to the incarnation, God becoming man by the Holy Spirit. Two different things. Wow. I'll bow to your knowledge of theology there, because I don't know. Old Man Rising. Why is no one talking about the fact that the Acolyte plagiarized their take on the Force using the Wheel of Time female magic system, even in gestures? Well, that'll be because I don't know anything about Wheel of Time, I'm afraid.
Nor do I, though I did listen to the F&T episode talking about, I think, episode 3, and I think Shad brought it up, so it has been noticed by some people.
There we go. Someone's on the case.
Yeah.
Kaylee, my history of mathematics textbook states that ancient counting systems were 1, 2, and many. So these space witches have just reached the intelligence levels of people from Earth's oldest civilizations. Pretty much, yes. I've heard that theory before. That I think it actually went up to 5 because that's how many fingers you've got on one hand, and that's how many things you can easily count. But yeah, for a lot of primitive cultures, once you get beyond 5, it's just lots. So yeah. Well done, Space Witches. Caveman Dave. Eternal Empire would have been a much cooler offshoot storyline to explore. It has much cooler twins, Dune-level battles against both Jedi and Sith, and epic tier saber usage. I think at this point, pretty much anything would have been better than this. Mr. Techrat says, everyone hit the like. Also, please go to give the Angry Badger a sub. P.S. Drinker, you're the best, and I'm looking forward to episode 100. Thank you very much, sir. And yeah, give Angry Badger a sub. Let's see if we can get him to 10K. Killjoy says the first. Sorry.
I was going to say, and yeah, the episode 100's on the way. Woohoo!
Yeah, just a few days. Killjoy, first time I've been off work early enough to watch the stream. Baby is down. Joy. To the question, will they ever acknowledge how bad the crap they're making is? They won't ever do that. They love how much that we hate it. I think you're quite right. Yep. Dave Betts, I've been a diehard fan of Marvel and Star Wars since as far back as I can remember. Now I can't stand either. Disney has turned on its fans. It doesn't make sense. Well, it does make sense if you're an idiot, and that's kind of what they are. Timmy says, can you guys say in your best Arnie voice, sorcerers, fortify your minds? Why is Arnold? I mean, I'll try. Sorcerers, fortify your minds.
Fortify your minds.
Come on, fortify them now.
Come on.
Do it.
I think that's a calling that he missed. Arnold Schwarzenegger as Wong. That would have been a great casting. Saying that in Multiverse Madness. Yeah.
Gay Carpenter. IP recovery, you ask? Look how Picard Season 3 was treated by the studio after success. Can't have that. Indeed.
That's true, but I mean, you know, I still prefer that we had something good that was then shunned by the studio than loads of shit, I guess.
Yeah. Jeff Romadix, all Star Wars is good Star Wars is the most corporate droned argument in existence. Yeah, I don't think anyone can even argue that at this point. You'd have to be some kind of retard. Hangry is Angry says, to address the question regarding fans taking a more antagonistic approach, I believe it's a reaction to pain. I'm 50 and I've been a fan since I was a kid. What they're doing creates a sense of pain on an emotional level. I can kind of get that. Yeah, I think when you've got an emotional investment in something and you see it getting ruined, there's going to be an emotional
There
reaction where
are
you want to lash out.
there are multifacets to this. The experience you all, including us, treasure in relation to the enjoyment of the adventure of Star Wars and the inspiration of it. With every shitty next installment, the newer generations aren't going to be very tempted to visit whatever this IP is.
Yes.
It's like, well, it's like, oh, Star Wars? I don't know. I don't really watch those. And you're like, what do you mean? You're like, those TV shows? And you're like, no, I mean the classic 3 movies that changed cinema. And you're like, oh, yeah, I think I've seen them. I don't know. And you're like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just brand erosion, really. Combe Doyle says, I have 20 years of experience as a product manager in tech. If I were to change direction the way they did with Star Wars, with the corresponding results, I'd be fired. Well, I know, but you're not Kathleen Kennedy, so mere mortals actually have to produce results. Lazy but talented says, modern cinema, hate the masculine men, but would love to be one. By the way, Mauler, Selfless is a great movie where Ryan Reynolds is not a clown and it can actually act.
Yeah, we did mention they're out there. Ryan Reynolds movies where you're like, wow, he's not doing the thing he always does. Huh.
Yeah. SJ Shakes. Leslie Headland has a lot of experience in directing inexperienced actresses. Harvey, we'll see you now. Ooh.
Oof.
Hurricane Laura. 24K. We really are the power of many. Yeah, that was some stream, man. 24,000 people. It's awesome. I think we might have read this out, but I'll do it anyway because I like it. Emissarial says, I'm reluctant to let go of Star Wars because it helped form my concept of heroism. This show, through its portrayal of the Jedi, is attacking not just Star Wars, but the very idea of heroism itself. I believe that's why so many are standing up to resist. I mean, it's good to see, for sure. I just wish they'd had this same kind of unity around TLJ. Bungles Twanger says, Leslie Headland is tricking you all. The witches actually represent modern society as a cult that won't let children choose to be trans. The Jedi are actually good because they want to help the kid transition. We'll find out soon. I suppose we will, yeah. Like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of ways you could read into this, and I suspect maybe even the writers don't know what they're trying to say with it.
I think it's incoherent.
Yarmouth says, let's just call it for what it is. Terrible writing by a bunch of elevated, self-righteous, purple-haired feminists that wrote cringe furry porn on Tumblr. I think you're being generous to them, really. What's the next one? Otto Deutsch. What's the most iconic John Williams score? Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Superman, Jaws, Jurassic Park, or Harry Potter? Cheers. He's made a lot of good stuff. I would probably knock Harry Potter out of the running immediately. It's not that memorable. Jurassic Park is glorious. Indiana Jones gets me every time. Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
That Superman theme, though, is amazing.
I don't think we can answer beyond just how we feel personally on this one. I guess it's just going to be that sort of thing.
I think for me, it's going to be between Superman and Star Wars, probably, in terms of the most iconic. With Indiana
I think I'll go with Star Wars for me. It just, it's Star Wars.
Yeah, I get you. Corvonus, it's cathartic listening to you guys cover this show. The Acolyte is a sad attempt at an imitation of Star Wars. Well, at least we can provide a little bit of entertainment for people then.
Yeah.
Darth Revan, I've been in love with this universe and everything in it my entire life. I haven't enjoyed anything made since Mando Season 2. As much as we wanted Dave to be the second coming of George, he would need power and a spine for that. And talent.
I was about to say, I feel like there's a few other things missing there, but also haven't enjoyed anything since Mando Season 2. I guess they didn't like Andor, but they did like Mando Season 2. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, I think so. Next one. Papa Duke says, press F to mourn the death of the Star Wars franchise. Indeed. Pooty Evans, Mommy told me alligators are so ornery because they got all them teeth and no toothbrush. Well, Mama is wrong. There you go. Dragon Sworn, good grief. At least Psycho Stick can count to 4. Albert Nada Retro, ever seen the Living Color skit where Jim Carrey is supposed to be a gay guy in a fast food place? If not, watch it. That's what DEI is. All right, give it a go. Jeremy Wells says, Chris said it best. You are the ones keeping this abusive relationship alive. Ignore Disney to death.
That's not how it works, though.
Exactly, yeah. And like, I feel like it's a battle that you want to fight rather than just ignore.
Well, let's say we all stopped complaining about it. All that's left are people celebrating it.
Yeah.
How is that better?
Yeah, because they can just fudge whatever numbers they want in terms of viewing figures. No one's going to know. They can
they've not told the truth about their numbers now forever. I just I don't like the whole censorship approach. I don't think it works.
Yeah. Robert Moran, in celebration of an entire century of open bar, Mahler should do a 10-minute review drunk. On the other hand, drinkers should do a 9-hour review while also drunk. Just have the whole panel drunk too.
I like the idea that if we switch roles just like as a fun thing, for me, I can get it done real quick. For you, you're like, oh, 9-hour review, yeah.
Sure. Well, I'll see you in a year or so when I've finished it. Odin says, stop watching Disney Star Wars back at Rogue One. So what you guys are telling me is that I chose wisely. Star Wars Christmas Special deserves an EFAP all to itself. I think you guys could have a blast with the Christmas special.
Yeah.
Carmel says, I want to see Sam Witwer again.
Well, maybe you will.
Yeah. Luke Newcomb movie reviews says, to cure your depression, I'd like you to all watch the 1943 film Sahara with Humphrey Bogart. I feel like it would make a drinker recommends. Great World War II action movie with fantastic character work. I feel like I've seen Sahara way back when. There was a time when a lot of...
right?
Yeah, sure, let's go with that. Humphrey Bogart, Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, wait, the remake, sorry, is Matthew McConaughey.
No.
I assume it's a remake.
No, it's not.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. The Matthew McConaughey one is based on a Clive Cussler novel from like the 70s or 80s.
I wasn't sure about whether or not it was a remake, just whether or not it existed.
Yeah, no, the other Sahara is unrelated. But I'd love to see a Matthew McConaughey Humphrey Bogart crossover. That would take some doing, but yeah, I think I remember this one vaguely. Just from back in the day when like loads of old World War II films seemed to be on when I was a kid. So I probably watched it then, but I would need to give it a rewatch.
Well, Matthew McConaughey is 54, so maybe when he was 1 year old, Humphrey was around.
It could be, yeah, and they acted together.
Yeah.
Logan Johnson, I was curious to hear your take on the Fallen Order games, and if they were to do that just instead of the garbage that we've got now. So I've never played them, so I don't know. I'm afraid.
I only played the first one very briefly, so I've just got nothing on that. I'm sorry as well. I didn't realize Humphrey Bogart died at 57.
Yeah, relatively young. Was it lung cancer?
Esophageal cancer, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, that was close. Yeah, I think he was like one of those 40 a day kind of guys.
Oh, that'll do it, yeah.
But yeah, it was just the done thing back then. Star Trekker says, thanks KK and Disney Marvel for weaning me off movies and TV and saving me hundreds of dollars a year. Special award to KK for still having a job while failing so massively. Stunning and brave. And impressive, yeah. I Make Vids says, Drinker and Mahler, my best friend recently turned 26 and is a big fan of yours. Could you wish him a happy birthday? Yes, best friend. I hope you have.
You should have given us his name.
I would have made it easier.
At least just call him best friend.
Greetings, best friend. I hope you had an acceptable 26th birthday.
Yes, as do I. Birthday happy.
Mad Bogart says, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the Force awoke as female through scissoring of the gay. The big gay, indeed. Virtuoso says, you guys are awesome. Keep up the good work. By the way, Star Wars Holiday Special is better than Acolyte. I feel like there's probably more entertainment value from the Holiday Special.
Yes.
Jesse Justin says, I'm a jock. Dad died in 89 and raised me on Star Wars and Trek. Well, you had yourself a good dad right there. Don Max says, if you haven't seen it, there's a gritty 1977 thriller called Black Sunday starring Robert Shaw. That's a lot like your novels in genre and tone. Oh, very cool. Okay. Tycho says, theory, Smilo Ren is actually the lost triplet. That would be amazing.
Whoa. Oh, imagine a third twin.
Why not?
I want him to say those exact words. You are the third twin.
Scurry says, what can men do against such reckless hate? Ride with me, ride out and meet them. So tell me, gentlemen, what does that look like in normal Earth? How do us normal viewers fight for what we love? Well, get angry and complain about it online, I suppose. Yeah. Jay Fraser says, hail, gents. What's this? RIP Star Wars, 1977 to 2012. Long live the EU. Indeed. Albert Nada Retro. Actually, it's people who were also bullied inaccurately using IPs like Star Wars, Marvel, Trek, and Doctor Who to tell a story about it. There's ways to do it that won't piss off the fan base. There is. It's just like they can't wrap their heads around it, I suppose. Pooty Evans. I wonder why Hooters isn't striving for that perfect 50-50 male-female customer base. Or CoverGirl. I know, it's crazy, right? The FGC Sensei. They'll try to blame criticism on homophobia. LGBT stuff doesn't impact the reception of a series if the storytelling is solid. Like Bly Manor, a gay relationship at its core, but more importantly, superb storytelling.
You wanna disagree on that one? Or
Okay.
It's fine.
Well, I mean, like, whatever issues I had with Bly Manor, again, it wasn't like centered around the fact that there's a gay relationship at the center of it. It's more
no, of course, and
mechanics
even with your issues, I'm sure you consider it a TV show versus something like The Acolyte, where it's just a complete mess.
Well, yeah, and I would rather watch Bly Manor 100 times over than watch Acolyte again. So yeah, it's leagues better. Patrick Mulligan. I'm looking forward to seeing Mauler Trekkie artwork. I envision Mauler as a dehydrated man in a desert, and he comes across an oasis that's labeled Star Trek.
I think I have liked it more than I would have had I not seen so much terrible shit. Like, if I had watched it when I was just chilling out and enjoying just all kinds of stuff, I might have been like, yeah, this is fine. But I've had an affinity for the fact that I can tell their goals explicitly were, what if humanity discovered something that changes their whole perception of a concept, as opposed to something dumb as shit that no one cares about?
True. Cosmic Burrito. Something random to lighten the mood for this discussion. For Mauler, Charles Dance or Bill Nighy?
Oh, you shouldn't make me do that.
I know.
That's not nice. They're my two old boys who nail every role they're ever in, literally. Like this, they just never put in a bad performance. So like, I guess the question would be in the format of who would I want, like, to, who do I think is a better actor, I guess.
I mean, I suppose so. Yeah, if like taking their filmography into account, like who would you erase from existence and who would you keep?
So the thing, this may be unfair to Charles Dance, but I think I've seen more range from Bill Nighy. That could just be because I haven't seen enough from Charles Dance, but Charles Dance is excellent at playing the thing that he often plays. Because you could argue, Clemens in Alien 3, you could actually viably see that as a young Tywin in terms of he has that demeanor. He's a lot more chill. Yeah.
He's just got the Charles Dance commanding presence.
That's kind of how he plays a lot of characters. But at the same time, I think he's an excellent actor, and easily possible that he could play all kinds of things. Bill Nighy, on the other hand, I've seen him play all kinds of characters, and he's usually amazing at it, and really got good comedic timing and also dramatic, chops and stuff. So if I'm trying to be as objective as possible, I would probably put Bill Nighy above Charles Dance, but I will say, if we've got a film that's coming and there's a role for like this, I don't know, it just some kind of role that the both of them could play, I'd probably want Charles Dance more. Yeah, mainly because I just feel like he's just got he got a really good role, but I was like, can someone give him another one before something happens?
It's like you're just rooting for him. Like, come on, give him a good role, give him a good script. Yeah, he deserves it.
What do you think out of those two?
I'm inclined to agree with your assessment in that Bill Nye's probably a more versatile actor, or at least he's demonstrated more versatility in his career choices and stuff. Like he could do comedy, he could do drama pretty confidently. He's been in his share of stinkers, like he was in the Underworld movies, like, oof, having it up big time there, Bill. But I think as a matter
I
of
like
preference,
him as Victor, though I don't. I think he's like the best part of that movie.
Oh, come on, Kate Beckinsale in a leather corset. I mean, I know.
I simply was talking about the story elements. All right,
Of course.
if you want to talk strictly about stuff like that, of course she's fantastic. She practically sold that whole series.
But man, yeah. If, like you say, if I wanted an authoritative older man with a bit of an intellectual edge and a commanding presence, I would pick Charles Dance. But
he's just so good at it. He was in the new Omen film, I think. I haven't seen
yeah,
that
he
yet.
was. Yeah, I saw the scene where the glass lands on his head, and it made me smile. Anyway, Michael Brokey says, I read a rumor that Pixar wants to reboot The Incredibles and Finding Nemo. If they actually do this, is it the studio's final nail in the coffin? I think they're already at that point, like with the nails are all in the coffin and it's been lowered into the ground.
I will say, as much as I get annoyed by the remakes of the classic animated films, if they remade in quote unquote live action stuff like WALL-E, that is going to infuriate me.
Well, give it time. Jay Fraser says, Mauer, I'd like to see you do a Star Trek TOS episode season rankings on Real BBC, like you, Gary, and Az did with Doctor Who episodes.
Do you mean me ranking the episodes? Because that's 80 episodes. I don't know if unless they mean like a top 10.
I think probably just pick your top 5 or top 10.
Oh, we have been, honestly. As the episodes go by, I usually update people on the last set I saw and what I thought of them. That's usually how I do it.
And Drinker, you should do a top 5 Star Trek captains video. I could do that quite easily. I enjoyed the James Bond one actually back in the day. So
yeah, you should. That sounds like a good idea. You should do that.
Have fun with that one. James the Fighter. Side note question: what's your guys' opinion about cinema quality sound and picture now without THX, TAP, OG, Dolby Cinema compared to the 90s and 2000s? In terms of audio, I don't really notice it. It's just loud and sounds good generally. Like I don't notice much difference in terms of like the actual audio equipment that they have in the cinemas.
Yeah, that's not something I've necessarily picked up. It might be something I pick up better if someone was to explain or rather point out what I should be listening for.
Yeah, but being in an IMAX screen, yeah, that's nice. It's like pretty impressive technology there. Chernobog says, I hate Acolyte, but Thread doesn't ruin Star Wars. Think about our world. Buddhists would say Jesus is wrong. A Christian would say Buddha isn't real. Unless the Force says that witches are right, they are just backing their belief. Doesn't make them right, though. I mean, yeah, you can definitely see it from that point of view. I think it's difficult.
If they were outright wrong, like they said the Force was actually a lizard that lives on planet Umba Jumbe and we all pray to him, we'd all be like, yeah, they're insane. They've just lost their fucking minds. And you can kind of do that with this anyway.
Yeah, I think the issue though is like when you understand the meta behind it and like what they're trying to do with this show, you get the impression of like, oh, they really want the witches to be correct and them to have the real wisdom about what the Force truly is.
Yeah.
And everyone else is wrong. What's this? Mayhem Writing Company. One of the greatest cast of YouTubers ever assembled to discuss the most horrendous Disney Star Wars television show ever vomited onto our screens. I know. I mean, well, you guys cried out for heroes, and instead you ended up with us. But we did our best. Chairman Meow says, imagine your young self finding out in the future that Star Trek, Star Wars, and Doctor Who would become unwatchable. I know it's a strange old world. It is that Red Letter Media quote, isn't it? It sums it up perfectly. Becoming old enough to see all your favorite franchises go down in flames.
Yeah.
Benson says, twins that don't look alike, but they're identical in later life. The chant was just hysterical and the acting is horrendous. Give the franchise back to George. I don't think George would even want it now. Or just like, leave me
I don't think
alone.
so.
I just want to go to sleep.
I mean, this is the thing. Like I said, if we had like full control, we'd talk to him if he was up for it, if he wanted to, and entertain his ideas. But at the same time, I don't believe for a second that the idea that's like, oh, we'll give you all the money and you can come and make. I think he'd be like, I'm okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, I've got billions in the bank. Alex Belfour says, Lucasfilm literally admit that Star Wars audience is male dominated, and then they make shows for women. It's an interesting strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them. But yeah, it's funny. Capcom did a survey recently, actually, and it's like their player base came out as like 86% male and 14% female. Kind of blew out the whole like, oh yeah, gamers are like 50% male female. Like blew that
They
whole
base it on the
argument out of the
mobile
water.
numbers. It's bullshit. It always has been.
Yeah. Like, oh
The
yeah,
thing about it is,
you play fucking Candy Crush once a month. Oh yeah, that makes you a gamer, does it?
someone would probably say like, oh, statistically, blah, blah, and then it's just like, I'm sorry, but as someone who's played probably too many games and knows many people who have done the same, women are so much less common. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay. It's allowed.
I know, but it's like if you mention that makes you all the bads. Keon Rodriguez, if the Jedi wouldn't use the witch magic because they wouldn't go that far, then why wouldn't the Sith use it? Would have been real useful for Palpatine. Probably. He's already got all the Force magic and the dark cloning magic and what other
secrets only the Sith knew, but not really.
Yeah. F says, okay, didn't Plo Koon have a species unique power to shoot electricity out of his hands, but the Jedi didn't let him use it because it resembled Force lightning, even though it had nothing to do with the Force?
Oh,
I mean, that'd be quite the coincidence.
That was because we were talking about how I said you could definitely look at a lot of things as though they're too different to be a part of the same Force, but that they still are. And that, this is the conversation about whether or not the people in Acolyte were using the Force or not. Versus magic. You and I were more so listening at that point. We were just okie dokie.
Like, this is beyond my comprehension. AJ says they had an opportunity to continue what everyone loved in the games, Eden Versio or Cal Kestis continuation with the show, but apparently they did not. So that's where we ended up. Mars Death says, let's also not forget Darth Zana, who was well versed in Sith sorcery, used incantations in a magic sense, but it was still an aspect of the Force. I'll take your word for that, because I know nothing about that person. Bongos Twanger says, the only way Disney can make money on Star Wars is to release the original theatrical cut unmolested. It's already there on Laserdisc. Isn't it fucking tragic that like now they've done away with the original theatrical cuts of the OT, and like George has mandated that it's like the special editions?
Doesn't it suck that we're in a world that isn't a world where they give us as much access as cleanly and easily as possible with the best clarity of visuals and multiple options dependent on personal preference in physical formats and digital? That world doesn't exist, apparently. It's like, why? It doesn't.
You'll have the version that we decree. Jay Fraser, Aliens Expanded is a crowd-funded fan documentary on aliens by film critic and biographer Ian Nathan. It features the cast and crew, including Weaver and Cameron. I suggested you as an interviewee. Oh, that was nice of you, but I don't think they'd be interested in me. But yeah, when I had William Hope on a few weeks back, he talked about being in that, and there was still a few days left to back it at the time. So I think a few people did from watching that stream, which is nice.
I do love the idea that they're like, we're going to be interviewing the directors, actors, and do you want to come drink? And you're like, really? Yeah, all right, sure.
It's like we've got James Cameron and some random asshole who talks about movies online. Okay.
They cut to you and they're like, so what do you think? You're like, it's fucking good. It's a really good movie.
I'm just sitting there like, pulse rifle go. Brrr.
You brought your one with you. You're like, look at this. That's great.
Yeah. I'm going to introduce you to a personal friend of mine. Karmajin says George's vision is malleable, which is both good and bad because he has ideas both good and bad. and I won't celebrate the purple overlay remasters, nor should you. Fluoro7 says, while Disney has produced the worst 2.5 hours of Star Wars to date, it has spawned hundreds of hours of the best review videos and streams like this. So, Kathleen and Leslie, we're even now. Yeah, I mean, God, we talked about this before. How many YouTube careers have been launched? How many lives have been changed because of this shit stuff?
Yep. And that's the
Something
thing, a
good's
lot
coming
of
out.
people were content to simply watch this stuff and enjoy it. And that's where I would have been had there not been a particularly bad Star Wars film that came out.
Indeed. Buddy Rabbit. The problem with the magic distinction and the witches isn't that it's an aspect of the Force, allegedly. It's that it retroactively makes what Plagueis did, retroactively makes the narrative weight of it feel far less significant. Well, yeah, once something isn't unique anymore, yeah, it's not going to be as significant, is it?
Yeah, it's diluted. Like, you can't not look at it that way. That is just true now.
Albert Nada Retro. The original trilogy is the best. I have the VHS copies and want to convert them to DVD. Yes, treasure them. Keep them safe. Keep them secret. Buddy Rabbit. Adding a separate magic system to your narrative has to have intent and meaning and utility. If it simply acts as a device to move pieces, it makes the use of it in the story less impactful. I agree. Rogue Ronan says the Death Star blew itself up after Chuck Norris gave it a mere look of disappointment. That's how terrified it was. He also says, Buddy Rabbit, magic in Star Wars is a stupid idea. If it's a cultural interpretation of the Force, it should have similar utility narratively as the Force prior. Otherwise, it's a meaningless addition that confuses the plot. I'm inclined to agree, actually.
I was about to say, I think that's a good point. If you start describing it differently from the Force and then use a whole new ass power that we've never seen before, it is going to make the audience go like, wait, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? And then I also agree that, well, this is complicated. I don't think the Force is a magic system. I think colloquially that's how we would refer to it when we're describing story elements. We'd say the Force is like a magic system. It allows people to blah, blah, blah. So when you do that and then you go, also there's magic, it's like, okay.
Well,
it's not impossible. It's just.
Well, that's when we get into the stupid territory of the MCU, where you've got like magic, sorcery, and witchcraft, and they're all different things. Fucking yeah, like how do they even interact with each other? Don't know. You're not supposed to think about it too much. Xian Hu says not just pushing feminism, but also to subvert parts that don't. We'd all love a young Leia show, maybe her young senator days, but they had to change the focus of the Obi-Wan show away from Luke. Yeah, it kind of felt like that, and it's just
it didn't even
bait and
need
switch
to be about Luke or Leia. Could have just been about Obi-Wan.
Imagine that crazy world where that's a good show. Wild Hunter says The Boys season 4 just dropped. Yep.
You seen that clip that's been going around?
Which one? There's a lot of cringe.
There's some kind of rally that's happening, and some lady's giving a speech, and she just rattles off so many memes, and everyone is just like, "What the fuck happened to The Boys?" And it's so funny because to me, I'm just like, it was there before. They've just got less and less subtle as they go on.
Yeah, to borrow that well overused phrase, the mask is off. And
yeah, I think because they come into an end, they don't give a fuck anymore. They're just like, screw you, this part of the audience. It's like, okay,
imagine that. Imagine that being your attitude.
Well, I mean, there's only so many things we can watch in the world, and some people have asked if we watched it, and I was like, I've got no interest at all.
Yeah, that's one I'm happy to just let die a slow, miserable.
The Boys season 1 tried to actually tell stories with characters that had arcs and stuff. In the new one, it feels more so like they're all pawns in a story that wants to tell a very specific point about the current political strife in modern day.
Yeah. Buddy Rabbit says, know when to end your story. That's very prescient with the Boys thing. Yeah. Should have ended it after, I don't know, season 1, probably.
Yeah.
Pooty Evans, Palpatine conjured Star Destroyer ships. Is that the Force or magic? That's just bullshit writing from J.J. Abrams.
Well, I was about to say,
more powerful than anything.
Absolutely, it's the Force, but how the fuck he did that, like, I don't
know. Buddy says, basically, Star Wars is a perfect cautionary tale of a bloated IP with too many cooks in the kitchen polluting an open canon versus something like a closed canon like Lord of the Rings. Yeah, fucking Lord of the Rings is still golden at this point compared to Star Wars, although it's working
I
up
think
to it.
that's the idea with like the gatekeeping of Lord of the Rings with Rings of Power. It's if there's an effort made to never see it as canon to begin with, it can't do as much damage. I don't think.
Aren't they now working on a prequel focusing on the Rohirrim, and it's going to be about like a lost tribe of female warriors led by Helm Hammerhand's daughter?
I'm just Gary can tell me if that's worthwhile. Like that's all I gotta say about that one. I've got no time for more and more and more TV shows at this point. Nor do I have time for a fucking Gollum movie. What the hell they're thinking with that one?
Fucking hunt for
Jesus.
Gollum. Ah! D-Dog says, sorry for being late. I know there's twins that are not identical like Luke and Leia, but the girl twins are not the same, but they grow up to be the same. That was some hell of a shit drop from the scaffold. Yeah.
I did assume when I was watching it, just I guess they couldn't be asked to do the work with this one actress, so instead they got a different girl. I don't. Surely you can. There's gotta be girls out there who are twins who are trying to become actors who are that age. That's gotta be out there.
You would have thought so, yeah. I mean, to be honest, for me, it didn't bother me that much. They looked similar enough that I wasn't going
I
to like
think,
split hairs over it.
had the writing been really strong, we'd probably be like, oh well, I guess they just couldn't pull it off. But when everything is so shit and that's even shit too, you're just like, it's just another thing that they failed. You know what I mean? Like it's not like one accident; it's just one of 1,000.
Just add more to the list. Shaker Silver. I'm just going to replay Knights of the Old Republic. I long accepted Star Wars as a mostly bad franchise, just two good old movies till the creator sold out, then sold it to the corporation.
Which is so insane. If you would manage to make some good shit out of it, you'd be making all of the money. But it's practically, we've said before, it's a money printing franchise, and they managed to turn it off.
Yeah. Simple Puppet. Evening, chaps. I got to see Fellowship of the Ring for the first time in theaters over the weekend. It was glorious. I had a friend say that it was boring though, so now I'm going to have to hide a body. Oh well.
Yeah,
Well,
that happens.
You're well shot of that, friend. That's no true friend. Official Wraith Blitz says Star Wars has been dead since 2014. Let's be real. Well, we just didn't know it at the time. I think the death process began back in 2015, and it became terminal in like 2017 with TLJ.
Yeah, TFA was smoking all the cigarettes, and you're like, dude, you're having like 10 packs a day, and he's like, I need it. Okay.
Yeah. Carrier, a Raccoon City story, says thoughts on Night Dive Studios remastering the Thing game that came out back in 2002. Fuck, I mean, I remember that game being a bit shit back then. It was
never played it myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's how do they do it? I think it's like done as a prequel or something, like another base with the Thing that infiltrates you, and then Kurt Russell's character shows up right at the end to rescue you in a helicopter. And you have to fight. The Thing becomes this gigantic, like building-sized monster that you have to shoot with rocket launchers. It's like, I feel like you're missing the subtle paranoia of the movie with this.
We were talking about like how out of all the movie monsters, which one would you not want to be killed by the most? And we were comparing, and I was just like, I think the Thing would be the worst thing to be killed by because I don't know what that feels like,
Well, I imagine it's fairly quick though, because it like assimilates you, and then it just like it's taking over your body.
I don't know that that's quick. I don't think we know how it feels, right? Your POV. Do you feel a sense of like all of your faculties being taken over gradually, that you lose your personhood? It's like that could be fucking horrifying.
I mean, for sure, yeah. I kind of, I compare that to say having a chest burster implanted inside you by an alien. Well, that's got to be a pretty unpleasant way to go too.
It is, but at least that is the equivalent of being stabbed through the chest with a sword, sort of thing, or something like that. To me, is much more. There's a scare factor of acknowledging that you've got a creature inside you and you're waiting for it to blow out. But I don't know, man. If the Thing crawled on top of me and like vomited its legs and stuff into me, I'd just be like, oh Jesus!
Oh, stop vomiting legs all over me.
Yeah, it's rude.
He says also, if Drink Ready plans on coming back down to Florida, of course I'll be back there. Don't worry. OMG Puppies says George Lucas was friends with Joseph Campbell, who wrote about the archetypal masculine story of the hero's journey. The archetypal feminine story is the Frog Prince. Interesting, and I can see where he gets his influences from, I suppose. Darth Revan, Badger in theory busting out my favorite lore bits. Also, the Sith had alchemy and sorcery in the Old Republic novels and games. That's how they created their war beast, as well as the Jedi killing Terentatek. Wow. Okay. There you go. Redemption Growl says, should episode 3 have been the pilot instead? I mean, if it would have like scared people away, but I think from a narrative perspective, it probably would have made more sense for that to be in the first episode of the season to help us understand.
I do wonder if that would actually make the show more coherent, because it feels like the third episode, like Ryan pointed this out, it's almost redundant by the time we see it.
Yep.
All
the information we need.
Yeah, and then what do they give us this new? A bunch of horrible cringe, and which like, thanks for that. We needed that.
Yeah. It's a show made by children. Mo Zislak. Drinker, it was a clean pinch. I know you were concerned. Also, no one cared until Mauler put on the mask. Gotta go. There you go. Classic Simpsons or classic South Park? That's from Rolf.
For me, it's Simpsons. Seasons 2 through 8, I think, is just, it's almost unparalleled for comedic, episodic, family sitcom writing. It's absolutely amazing.
I'd be inclined to go with The Simpsons at its peak over South Park.
Though right now, South Park is way ahead of Simpsons.
I mean, The Simpsons is, it's been past its prime for about 2 decades at this point. The Jade Hour says, this saves Star Wars, Indiana Skywalker and the Rakatan Empire. Luke searches for the Jedi artifacts to start a temple, finds an ancient Rakata in stasis that wakes up, meets Mara Jade, hot, not feminist. Sure, let's go with that. Are we ever going to see a Mara Jade in like movie form or anything?
Don't know.
It seems like that's a good opportunity to give your audience a strong female character that seems to be quite popular and well written. Am I crazy? I don't know. Loonitor 360 says, hi guys, I've been a fan since I dropped out of YouTube. I was kind of a big movie YouTuber, but I hate what the agenda did to the media. Congrats on your bravery in taking this topic out. Bye. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Jonathan Smith. Hi, Theory. It was rough seeing your reaction to the last episode. I know the feeling. For me, Star Wars died after the original Thrawn trilogy was destroyed by George. I understand your pain. Well, he'll be okay, I'm sure.
Yeah.
George S. Patton says, hey guys, I fortunately decided to not watch The Acolyte even before the first trailer dropped. Not worth my time and money on a show that has no respect for George Lucas or Star Wars in general. True, yeah, just watch us make fun of it. It's great. Corey McGuire, does the Force have to pay child support now? Only if it's male. Metalhead says, witches create powerful future child. Didn't people attack Star Wars for copying Dune 100 years ago already? Well, yeah. It's a question of how much you can steal and get away with it, I suppose.
Yeah, why not?
Pure Madness says, just watch Jenny Nicholson's 4-hour video on the failure of the Star Wars Hotel. If Disney were to make a second attempt at a Star Wars Hotel, what would you pitch and how would you make it immersive?
I guess you just have to think about what people want and expect, and then what can you surprise them with.
It would definitely be based around the OT.
Oh, that's the easy part to me. Like, it would be OT and prequels. People like the world of the prequels somewhat in terms of what you can explore, but we would nail the OT first, right? You need to have big old rooms, or at least places you can go through that are all themed based on the planets. That's obviously got to be how you do it. Significant scenes, right?
And then, ideally, like a hangar bay with either a Millennium Falcon or an X-Wing or something in it.
Yep, that seems like the straightforward thing to do. And then maybe try and come up with some interactive things you can do in each place that relate to the worlds, and have, it's similar to what they did
Yeah, see,
Only
that's the thing.
like,
I like the idea of what they were suggesting there, like that role playing thing where you get involved in storylines and do missions and stuff. That could
but
work.
not sequel continuity shit. No one cares.
Yeah, exactly. And Rossi says, "Buy a saber, be a neighbor. Go to
Oh,
Theory Sabers." That's a good slogan. I like that one. And yeah, actually, Theory was nice enough to send me one of his sabers, and it is fucking cool.
they are cool, aren't they? How come you said
Very nice.
I had to buy mine? I ran a show with him. Bastard.
Yeah,
Betrayed me.
he'll be hearing about this. You
Well,
bastard.
he's considered sending me a free one as well. I wouldn't mind having two. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can never have too many lightsabers. Just ask your average Sith, I suppose.
Yeah.
But that was the last of the super chats there. So appreciate it, guys. Yeah, thank you for sending us so many, and hopefully we're able to answer most of them and keep you guys pretty entertained for an hour or so. And the next time you see us, I guess we'll be on the next open bar. But in the meantime, Mauler and I might have a little bonus thing that we did last night, which was we've started our watch through of Firefly, which is cool. And I must say, I'm very impressed with it. So the first one of those will be going up shortly. So look forward to that. But anyway, for now, that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.